Mr. Siim Sikkut. Siim led the digital government and digital policy area in the Republic of Estonia for the last 10 years, most recently as the government CIO from 2017 to 2022. He has been recognized as one of the world's top 20 most influential people in digital government and was the co-founder of Estonia's groundbreaking e-residency program. His talk is titled, Outstanding Services Need Outstanding Delivery. Let's welcome him to the stage.
Hello, tere, in Estonian. Well, it's always good to be back in UAE. It's always good to be back in GX Talks and the summit. I'm glad the summit is alive and kicking in that sense. As the last speaker for the day, I actually thought not to add any more new ideas in a sense of what could be the future, but rather focus on exactly what Jonathan left us off. How do we build it? How do we make future happen? How do we make all these great ideas become a reality? Because, at least in my career, that was the thing that I was so consumed with. In Estonia, but I think overall around the world, there are so many good ideas. So many people have so many bright ideas what to do. We talk about proactive services, seamless services, predictive stuff, integrated stuff, you name it. I mean, we can talk about metaverse now. Lots of good ideas. How many of them become our reality? We have had live event services as the concept for, I think, almost 10 years, all the time I was in government, in digital government leadership role. How many true live event services are there in the world that we can daily use? This is a question not only in my mind. Last year I spoke with about 20 leaders, 20 digital government leaders from around the world for the book that's about to come out. And the number one thing on their mind as well is delivery. How do we deliver? How do we make all these great ideas an actual practice in our governments? How do we really make the government experience meet the visions we have? So that is why I've been keen on this topic. Now, but to try to explain it a bit more, I'm going to tell also a bit of story in the line of storytelling. And this is based on a true story, and actually it is a true story. I won't name the names of governments, but you can do your guessing game. So, once upon a time, there were two governments, great friends. It's about 3 years ago, they came to this idea that, well, artificial intelligence is here. What will artificial intelligence perhaps mean for us in governments? Well, among other things, it might open us an opportunity that we could have virtual assistants as the interface to get stuff done with the government. The Siri in your phone, the Google Assistant, whatever the platform you choose, that's going to be how we use the services of government. That's how we're going to get the information from a government. So if your passport's due to be renewed, you don't have to remember this. You don't have to get an email or a prompt on your phone. Basically, Siri just says, hey, Siim, your passport's expiring. Do you want to get a new one? That's the experience we could build. Now, 3 years ago, those two governments, they shared ideas, they sort of exchanged stuff like that. They started going further down this road. One of the governments had 100 million euros for it. How they approached it was they went around, talked about it. The vision became perhaps a bit better. Got 3 years down the line to the day, they're still talking about it. The other government, immediately in the first weeks of getting to this idea, started saying, hey, how can we make this happen? How can we perhaps have exactly Siri become the interface for our government? They started experimenting, playing stuff with stuff. 3 years later, they are here and getting a prize for the stuff and the work they do tomorrow. So, two governments, same idea, same ambition, but one of them delivered. And if we go further from this, I already said, we have had lots and lots of ideas. The best of governments, I would say, the most effective governments, are really keen on delivery. This is the end, what really counts. If you even go to the theory of innovation and the definitions of innovation, innovation is not the next great idea. Innovation is that next idea actually implemented. That will create the impact, that will create the change and that we want to see. And that's the delivery, not the delivery of a service, the delivery of the ideas and the visions. Now, if you talk about the how of the stuff, then if you look into my own Estonia's experience, or my own country's experience, if you look at the experience of those 20 great people that I had a chance to talk with about how to deliver stuff more, there are many tricks and methods that can work. But if I had to sum up a few here, I think we can try and do that. So for example, how to really deliver more. A few simple things, tricks each and every one of us can start doing today and tomorrow. And the number one thing, just start. You have an idea, start playing with it. Just start doing the stuff. It's as ridiculous as it sounds. This doesn't happen so often in governments. We talk. You might have heard about analysis paralysis, right? We analyze, then we do a further study, then we do further research. Nothing gets implemented. Just start. Another thing, what does the starting mean? Yeah, well, you're not going to have perfect answers, but we have to experiment stuff. We have to play with stuff. If it doesn't work, iterate, change, pivot if necessary. But the key here is there's always going to be barriers. There's always going to be stuff on your way. People saying, no, it cannot be done, or there are reasons why it shouldn't work. The best of and the most effective governments who deliver are relentless on how, not why or why not, how to do stuff. So if I bring the example of online voting, for example, that's something that Estonia did back in 2005. Many people have said, there's no way you can securely vote online. We were relentless on the how, of figuring out, focused like an engineers, on how to make it secure. And that's what made it possible. And now we have half of the people voting online for parliament. So fixation on the how is what gets delivery happen. Another thing, keeping it simple. What often happens in governments, because we have many stakeholders, we have different things, compliances, things, political considerations, we make stuff too complex. In Estonia, each time we have failed, and we have failed many times, we have made things too complicated. We can't handle complexity. Keeping it simple is powerful. That's when stuff gets happened and delivered. And finally, the best of the governments really build the teams and do the daily routines to focus on delivery. Think about one thing. We all have meetings. What are the meetings about? What is the weekly meeting about? Is it about what did we deliver last week and what are we delivering this week? Or is it talk about something else, like the ideas and what's the next idea? These things start to matter. And I'm not speaking theory here. I mean, this is really how we built e-residency that I had the luck to be part of. This is, and not coincidentally, this is how startups work. This is how the companies work. This is how they grow big. This is basically building a startup. Why not in government then as well? But that's, in a way, a lot about how to deliver more and to start things. What is perhaps even more important, but harder, is to scale all the stuff. And I would argue this is really the heart of making the change happen and delivery happen. I mean, we can even go to theory in a sense of, there's one theory saying that innovation in public sector only becomes an innovation if it really is scaled throughout the whole government. And that is tedious, boring, hard work. But that's hard work that needs to be done for the scaling and systemic change to happen. So whether it's you build capacity, you raise awareness, you raise skills in your teams across the government, whether you work on coordination mechanisms, how to basically make all of the government go proactive, how do you nudge them, how do you steer them, whether it's how you do laws that, for example, force you to say that, hey, everything has to be available in metaverse, I mean, if we look into the future. Whether it's you build the platforms that basically allow the whole different agencies across the whole government to be more digital and offer services more proactively. Whether it's fixing the funding. I mean, I can go on. This all, literally, as one of my peers says, is boring governance stuff. But that's what needs to be fixed, because without that, we will only have pilots, prototypes, experiments, flagships, but not systemic change, not actual government experience improvement across the whole of government. But that's the game changer we want. So to end my story here, this is a bit of my rallying call. Let's focus on delivery. We need more ideas. We need new ideas too. Sharing of ideas is valuable, but delivery of the ideas is more valuable. So let's focus on that. Let's deliver more. And with the help of GX Talks, let's also keep sharing more on how to deliver stuff more. Thank you. Thank you.